Hey, dudes. Hi, welcome to Tuesday. Welcome back to another episode of Honest Trailers Commentary. Spenny is out, but that's okay. That's okay. You got me, and with us, as always, is Lon. Hello, Lon.
Hey, how's it going? I'm so glad you jumped in and started hosting. I know we briefly discussed this yesterday, but then we did not clarify this morning. So I was like,
Not even.
I hope she starts because I don't know what to say.
Well, I hope that, I hope that my smiley face was enough to communicate. For those of you who have not been here before, this is Honest Trailer Commentaries, where we talk about the honest trailer that went up today. That was the Goonies. So we're going to go through, we're going to watch it with y'all. We're going to do some starting and stopping with some of our commentary on some of the jokes that are happening. We're going to play some deleted scenes, and we will end with some questions and comments from viewers just like you. Before you put it in the thing, yes, I broke my arm. No, it's not a good story. Moving on to the Goonies. I just want to get that out of the way. Don't put it in there. It's not a good or fun story. It's just dumb and I'm old and I broke my arm and I'm having surgery tomorrow. So Lon, what did you think of the Goonies? I know it's been probably a while since any of us have seen it.
Yeah, this was one I was in the right age range, so I really liked this as a kid. And what I realized going back as an adult and rewatching it, which I've done a few times, this was not my first time going back since childhood, maybe my second or third. What I realized as an adult is all the positive memories I have from this movie are really from that last half hour. There's there's 30 minutes towards the end where they really get going on the adventure. They're in the cavern, they're on the pirate ship. All this stuff is very produce these huge cool sets, and it's very Amblin, and almost all. I think the one thing I loved as a kid that isn't from that last segment is Corey Feldman pretending to order Italian food. I used to do that bit as a kid. They're like, "We want the Villa Scalapini." The really offensive Italian voice. I used to like that. Everything else I like is they start playing the pirate organ and all.
Right.
And I think that's what everybody remembers, and you forget that there's 80 minutes of shtick leading into that is not my favorite now going back.
Yeah, it is so shticky. And the movie kind of what I appreciate about it is that it does just kind of get going. As soon as it starts, that movie is going, and it doesn't really give you a chance to really catch your breath. But because of that, it also assumes that you know things that you don't know. It assumes that you kind of know a lot about these kids and their relationships to each other, and you learn a lot about it too, but it makes a lot of assumptions for it. It's hey, we just got to get there, we got to get to the adventure, and it's okay, cool adventure, and then 80 minutes of, like you said, just shtick and just silliness. Because how long do they spend in the house before they even find the treasure map?
It's a long segment in the house. And then, you get them, they're on their way, and you've got all this stuff on the bikes, and that stuff I think is mostly fine. But then I think the real problem point is from when they get to the Fratellis and they think it's a restaurant, and they go inside, and then they're kind of wandering around in the back of this restaurant. This is when we meet Sloth. This is when we get to the Fratellis. It's very long, and it takes a very long time for them to get from the restaurant to the part right under the restaurant to the caves that go under the town, to finally getting into really One-Eyed Willie's cavern, that they really have a space to explore, and it becomes a real adventure. And I feel there it gets very bogged down with them doing a lot of they've given, and I don't think, I want to make it clear that I don't think it's these kids. The kids are great. All the kid actors in this.
Fantastic.
Most of them went on to become more famous.
We'll talk about that. Yeah.
Just won an Oscar. Mm-hmm. But I think the kids are all great, but they've given them Abbott and Costello full vaudeville routines, and it's so much to give the kids who are 13, 14, these very young actors. And I feel that's their Chris Columbus was not doing these kids any favor.
Right. And I enjoyed it, but it definitely is. And we talk about this. It's one of those that I definitely was looking at it through nostalgia covered glasses. But you know what? So let's just go ahead and get into it. Let's go ahead and start the Goonies honest trailer.
In a world where every new release is about small-town kids on bikes having a spooky adventure in the 80s, experience the original film about small-town kids on bikes having a spooky adventure in the 80s that proves the actual decade may not have been full of neon, but it was full of non-stop bullying.
Do the truffle shuffle. Come on! Do it!
Those were the days, Epic Voice Guy. Best years of your life. We all love the 80s, right? The Goonies. Experience.
One thing, give you a little behind the scenes context. There was some debate among the Honest Trailers team. Were we going to get pushback on E.T. really kind of set the stage? E.T.'s the classic Amblin kids on bikes adventure.
There's a reason why it's the Amblin logo.
Right. And so this is not really the original. This was already kind of harkening back to E.T. in some ways. I feel like close enough, right? And when
it's the same team, when you're riffing on yourself, it's fine.
Yeah, and I mean, I think like today when you watch like Stranger Things and they're referencing that vibe, E.T. and the Goonies are the first two places you go.
Right. Yeah, absolutely, 100% agree.
Yeah, it's sort of back and forth.
Yeah, and let's keep going.
A cult classic, and that it works best when you're young and impressionable. As you journey to America's hairy armpit, the Pacific Northwest, a location where you never have to change the camera settings because everything is always gray. There, you'll watch 5 future movie stars, and also these two pull off the most realistic.
So one thing we do want to mention, obviously, congratulations, Ke Huy Quan. That's dope and amazing. But
and
also,
his lawyer,
and that's exactly what I was going to say.
Oh,
we do
sorry,
make the joke. No, that's great. We do make the joke about like and those two, but the guy who plays Junk, that could have been a nickname in this movie. The guy who plays Chunk, Joel Cohen, am I correct?
Yeah, I'm looking it up. I think it's something like that.
He is an entertainment lawyer. Jeff Cohen, thank you. He is now an entertainment lawyer, and he's been a big time entertainment lawyer for decades. And he was actually the person who negotiated for Ke Huy Quan to be able to be in Everything Everywhere All at Once, which was part of why he thanked him in his Oscar speech. And also because Goonies never say that, blah, blah, blah. But yes, so while we do make a joke about that, we do also recognize that dude is doing big things. And honestly, probably has the most stable of all Hollywood careers, if we're being brutal.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's not like Corey Feldman lighting Hollywood on fire at the moment. He just went on to do a lot of stuff post Goonies. That was really
yeah, that's really what it is. All right, keep going.
Plan to stop gentrification. Find some buried pirate treasure. Meet the Goonies, a group of misfit outcasts who deal nonstop verbal abuse to each other.
Where's the gold? Where's the gold, my man? You know, I got some naked pictures of your mom. What? You shut up about that stuff.
Oh, shut up, Mel.
Shut up, Data. Shut up, Chunk. Shut up. Shut up, Mel.
Shut up, Mel.
Shut up, Chunk. Yeah, well, at least I have a brain. So stupid, Mel. Shut up!
Maybe they're misfit outcasts because they're all little Just a thought. Mikey is their leader.
She really put some stank on that shut up at the last
one.
Oh, yeah.
Martha Plimpton is mean in this movie. Like, and it's not even there isn't really a, like today, if you wrote the beginning of the movie where they're all bullying each other and they're all very mean, by the end, there would be like a redemption arc where they all realize that they're true friends. Not the Goonies. Like,
no.
Martha Plimpton ends the movie just as mean as she was at the very beginning.
Right. This isn't the one where they suddenly become found family, even with the people that they can't stand.
I mean, they do. It's a very, it's just a throwback kind of thing where it's got that like New Yorker East Coast vibe where it's like, yes, I'm going to constantly tell you I hate you, but we understand that there's mutual love and respect at the foundation of me constantly telling you how much I hate you.
Which is funny because this is that is so not West Coast Pacific Northwest culture. No. Pacific Northwest culture is way more sarcastic and passive aggressive. It would be like these kids are aggressive. There would be way more passive aggression if this was actually on the Oregon coast for sure.
Yeah, I mean, there is something refreshing about that. If this movie just takes place in like a brutally mean, cruel world, and like we don't. Hollywood movies don't, especially for younger people, they're just like not like that anymore. Like the world is not usually this vicious without there being some sort of like, but at the end they realize like that, it's all love.
Right. In this town, like everyone's terrible. And all of these kids are pretty awful when you start learning things because it's like, oh man, you're making Chunk do the truffle shuffle. Fat shaming was cool back then, but we don't like it now. And then later, when the cop is listing off all of the many ways that Chunk has committed crimes and lied and conned people, and then when Chunk is admitting to all of his other also terrible things that he's done to people. I mean, no one deserves a truffle shuffle, but that kid does deserve a swirly.
They're all bad. It's a everybody's kind of and I like that. I don't want to be misquoted. Like, I enjoy that they don't do a redemption. There's nothing at the end to let you know that it changed. The happy ending is they get to stay friends and keep their houses. Not that they've learned anything from this experience.
No, I fully expect that one of them is going to do like one of those The Good Sons where like they find an overpass and like dump a fake dead body over it. Like I fully expect that's what they're going to start doing as soon as they turn 16 and get their driver's licenses.
They might be like a heist crew today. Like, they're bad kids.
Near the Ocean's 11. All right, let's keep going.
And keeper of the Goonie Code.
Goonies never say die. Goonies always make mistakes.
Data does machines.
Slick shoe! Bullet blinders! Ow! Ow!
Mouth is cool but rude.
But no!
Wait, Chunk can't be a party dude, can he?
And they got Mississippi mud, and they got chocolate eruption.
All right, you know what that
All
means.
All right, pause real quick. So I just want to give credit. Lon was the one who pointed this out and wrote the lyrics for this. Let's go ahead and
spontaneously realizing that the Goonies map onto the turtle character types. I had no choice but to rewrite the piece.
All right, let's jam the F out.
Teenage Oregon, coastal counties, teenage Oregon, coastal counties, teenage Oregon, coastal counties, gotta save their homes now. Mr. Walsh taught them about pirate kings. Oregon, coastal counties. Now Mikey leads while Data does machines. Oregon, coastal counties. Math is cool but rude. Give me a break. Chuck me wild, lots of kinds of food. Teenage Oregon, coastal counties. Teenage Oregon, coastal counties. Teenage Oregon, coastal counties. Searching for some rich stuff. Shuffle, shuffle.
When an
And there we go. Beautiful, beautiful. I cannot remember his name. I wish I wrote it down.
David B.
David B. Just killing it lately. He also did the song in Velma. Just nailing these song parodies. So shout out to him for all the great work.
This one was great. This came out really good. I love that it can be just like a half note off
and
we get away with it. Like it's very obvious what song we're riffing on here, but we're going to get away with it.
You're going to get away with it. And I love that for us and for you. All right, let's keep going.
evil developer and his Nepo baby plot to repossess their homes. The Goonies will head off on an adventure after these comedy bits.
Come on, give me a nice wet licorice kiss.
Dozens of comedy bits.
La heroína en el de abajo. Siempre hay que cerrar las drogas.
I got it! I got it!
Not cool. Not cool. Huh?
You klutz.
And while they never say die, they do say rich stuff a lot for some reason.
Our last chance to see if there really is any rich stuff. The rich stuff is near the restaurant. Maybe there's some rich stuff. One-eyed Willie's rich stuff.
The last guy who went looking for the rich stuff.
Rich stuff. The rich stuff. The rich stuff. All that rich stuff.
Come on.
Treasure, kids. It's treasure. Then
Pause.
finally.
Stop making rich stuff happen, Goonies. Rich stuff is not going to happen.
I remembered, like, that was the thing I knew at the beginning. I was like, I'm going to keep track. I know that they say rich stuff all the time. That'd be a funny joke. But I had no idea it was so much. Like, I thought it was maybe 2 or 3 times. It's like, we cut some. There's like 15 rich stuff quotes in the Goonies. It's a lot. It's a whole lot.
I mean, you can say treasure, you can say gold, you can say money.
And I guess kids do, like, friend groups make up their own slang or whatever, but rich stuff, it just doesn't, it never lands right to me. It always feels like an adult screenwriter came up with it and put it in the mouths of babes.
Yes, no, this is definitely someone who's like, this is what the kids say stuff.
Yeah, like there's no way Mikey and Mouth on their own started saying rich stuff. Like it's weird.
Yeah, it's very awkward. Keep going.
Tag along as they explore the hidden tunnels under their town and discover the dark secret it hides below. Shoddy.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
I say when they run into the skull, that's when it gets good. Like that's when the sets get more elaborate. You could tell like the technical, like the comedy sort of is like, okay, we're done with the comedy. We're ready for the adventure.
Yes.
That's when all the memorable, the water slide and the pirate ship and the pirate organ that makes the ground fall away, all the
The slippery
memorable
shoes.
Yeah, all the Temple of Doom memorable bits are from there. And there's a long time where they're just kind of in some tunnels that's like, oh, okay, let's get through this.
Yeah, let's get through the wet tunnels. All right.
A lot of wet tunnels.
A lot of wet tunnels. Let's go.
Plumbing work.
Go down now.
It's like a magical Flint, Michigan.
Is this supposed to be water?
It's wet, ain't it?
Standing in their way are the Fratellis, a familia so Italian. They make a Roberto Benigni sounding like Chris Pratt.
How many times I gotta tell you? You sit too close to the television so you're gonna screw up your ammo, huh?
They're criminals, Catholics, and opera singers. So you might think, of course they also run an Italian restaurant. But that would just be perpetuating a crude Italian stereotype.
Come on, eat my pepperoni then. You want your pepperoni? Huh? Come on, let's kill each other over the pepperoni!
Mamma mia. So
Pause. That was the first time I had ever seen Joey Pants.
Oh, yeah. This
I think for most of us, yeah.
Yeah, this was almost definitely my intro to both Robert Davi and Joseph Pants. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it was great.
And they're great. They're giving it 110%. They're not bringing it because it's a dumb part in a kid's movie. Like, they're going for it. But wow, the material for them is like,
well,
every Italian it's just Italian stereotypes.
Just about everybody is like pretty stereotyped in this. We were joking about that because I said, like, I think in one of the group chats or Slacks or something, I was like, it's funny because Data keeps calling himself Data, like in the third person, like he's trying to make that nickname stick. And then we think about the other nicknames people have, and we're like, that's probably a smart idea.
Yeah,
it's probably smart that he picked his own nickname.
There's something kind of like racialized about his whole character. Like, he's presented as kind of talking in this sort of pidgin English weird way, and you kind of think it's just an affectation for him, but then you meet his parents and they also are like that. It's like, oh, it's just a crude Asian.
It's just the 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not great.
Marge Simpson noises. Keep going.
That the film everyone remembers for its incredible pirate ship set, Spielbergian mix of humor and horror, and one of Cyndi Lauper's greatest bops. While overlooking how it takes forever before anything fun happens.
Nothing exciting ever happens around here anyway.
Is chocked full of product placement.
Last Goonie weekend.
Pause. They spent $100,000 in 80s money for that Baby Ruth product placement.
Yeah.
That is wild.
You could tell it's like very, like they're lavishly holding the wrapper up to camera a bunch of times. I mean, I guess in a post-ET world, they realize the value of these kinds of, if you integrate the product into the story. Like,
well, yeah, no, but Baby Ruth didn't pay for them to do it. They paid Baby Ruth.
Really?
I know, that's what I said, because I went to look it up to see how much money that they, and this is, I mean, I got it off Wikipedia, so, grain of salt.
No,
but
it's probably true. That's weird. You would think it would be
that's
the other
what
way
I
around.
thought. Yeah. I assumed, because I wanted to make a joke about how this was one of, like, the first instances of, being paid for that. And I was going to bring it back to the Reese's, and I looked it up and I was like, well, that joke doesn't work at all now. Yeah, no, they paid. Why?
You could just make up your own candy bar.
This is what I'm saying.
Money.
They have them just sitting around. It's like, they have, like, everybody on TV drinks the same brand of fake beer. Like, you could have just done that, but I guess they were really looking for that authenticity.
Poker Face. That's the only show I can recall recently where she drinks exclusively real beers on Poker Face. If you ever see Charlie on Poker Face, she's got like a Coors Light or like a Miller High Life. They only have her drink real. It must be some kind of product.
It must be either that or they know exactly what we associate with Miller High Life, because I know that I do, with the champagne of beers. All right, let's keep going.
And relies on a cheap wink to the director's other superhero films for the big emotional payoff. but despite its flaws, recapture that magical feeling of what it's like to be a little kid again, still full of wonder, a sense of possibility, and just really loud and annoying.
She knows what she's talking about.
Shut up! I'm old now!
Truer words were never spoken. So much of the dialogue in this movie is just kids yelling over other kids. Like, it reminds me of like when your friend first gets a podcast and doesn't realize that everyone has to take a turn to talk and everyone's just like talking over each other. Yeah. Like, if only they were talking about like, you know, alpha males and high value females, then we would know that they were doing that. But yeah, it's definitely, and so much of it is screaming and falling and talking over each other and getting wet is like 80% of this movie, maybe 90.
It's that comedy beat of they're all so loud and so excited that they all end up talking over each other. They go back to that sort of well a lot as like that way of suggesting like, this is what life is like when you're a Goonie. It's just constant chaos and excitement. And it's like at a certain point, it is kind of like enough already. We get it. They're very loud. They talk over each other all the time.
Like please stop yelling. Our stereos are better than yours were back then.
Yeah.
My neighbors can hear everything. All right. I think let's go ahead and I think this is the last little bit.
Starring Potatoes, Bro Country for Young Men, The Hollywood Shuffler, Stand By Mean, Oregon Jones and the Temple of Goon, Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter Almost Died, You Have to Save Martha, Wario and Waluigi, Throw Mama Down the Drain, and me when I think of a new little pun for the end of these videos. Hey, you guys! The Goondock Saints.
The chat do be blowing up.
You're gonna live with me now.
Dude, he's a person, not a puppy. You didn't just get a new friend. Get your parents a full grown-ass man to feed.
Yeah, you can't just take home an adult.
No, I mean, at some point the state's going to have to get involved. It's like it's on some level. It's this guy's been abused. There's paperwork to be filled out here.
There's definitely paperwork. Well, hey, thanks so much for hanging out. We've got some more stuff coming, but this is the part of the show where we thank you for sticking with us. Make sure you subscribe to our channel. We've got some more videos every single weekday. Hit that like, hit that bell, just for us and for you, so you don't miss any of our funny, fun nonsense movie stuff.
It's for us, but it's also for you. We're looking.
It's also for you. Yeah, we want to make sure that you never miss any of us. See, we're very kind that way. We're magnanimous. All right, and I believe that we have got some outtakes.
Starring the Puffer Brothers, Bob Newby, The Hobbit: An Unexpected Journey. Keep rolling, 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 rolling. Bandana of Brothers. Let's go, Brandon. Young Thanos. Nacho Seaway. The Cry Guys. The Burbs Begins. License to Connive. The Exhaust Boys. Quan for the Money. The Kissing Youth. Raising Nope. Varsity Snooze. Small Time Mooks. And Nice Shrek. Hey, you guys! Irrational Treasure. Sneaks and Geeks. Tiny Goon Adventures. Goon Willy Hunting.
So many of these.
We got really excited.
Yeah.
All right, so I think that's it. So now we are going to go into our chat. Let's look at some questions here. I haven't even looked at them yet. Look at me. I am no Spencer.
I really like Nice Shrek. I'm sad that didn't get it.
Isn't it? Yeah, I like that one. It's kind of like a swamp. Oh, we have more outtakes, says William. Thank you. Let's do it.
Rosalita's better than me because after everything Mouth put her through, I would have definitely kept those diamonds.
Si no hace buen trabajo. Será encerrada Aquí con las cucarachas por 2 semanas sin agua y sin comida.
There we go. And
There we go.
no. I'm sorry. I'm not, she's running over like, here, don't sign the paperwork. Don't sign the paperwork. It's like, excuse me, I'm retiring.
She worked there for like one day too. She's very dedicated, considering it was like the mom brings her by that morning, like, this is Rosalita, she's gonna help us out. And then at the end, she's like, no, I'm gonna save the house. Your family's rescued. Like,
you have no stakes in this. And they're supposed to move like the next day, and they just start packing, and she's supposed to do all this work. I don't like it. All right, let's go to Evan J. Pretzer asks, recycling a question that was not used a while ago. Should Quan take over for Ford and Indiana Jones? I think it would be great. Baffled it hasn't happened. Fans would dig it. I think it would be fun. He's got the action chops. I would dig it. I would be super into it. I think it's more likely to happen now that he's got an Oscar. I could see why people weren't maybe talking about it like 5 years ago, but I could see why people would be talking about it now.
I don't know. Obviously I'm not against it. Sure. Like, I would go see it if there were short round movies now, but like, I give him his own. I don't feel like we need to keep humping Indy, especially with No More Ford. We know this is it for Ford. Indy, Ford, they're so tied together. Short rounds, that character is great, but like a foil for Indiana Jones. I feel like give Ke Huy Quan his own franchise. Like, he could sustain his own thing. He doesn't need to be short. He doesn't need to play the one part he did in the 80s forever. He's free to be a new character. I like Waymond Wong. Let him be more guys like that.
Yeah, I hardcore. And then let's see. Let's go to Wayward Mind says, if you had to cast some of the rules for a Goonies reboot, who would you cast, ignoring gender?
Oh, okay. Well, they're kids. It's tough because I don't really like, what have I watched with today's youths, like, I don't know actors that age,
because we already know it would just be all of like the Stranger Things kids, the kids that they use.
They're too old now.
That's true.
They can't be Goonies anymore. That's what I'm saying. Like, the kids who would be the Goonies now are like, they're on Nickelodeon shows. I don't know. Thankfully, you'd be weirded out if I was rattling them off. Like, why is Lon watching this much Disney Channel?
I would assume it would be the kids coming up from the Disneys or the Nickelodeons.
Exactly. That's where you'd audition, and you'd cast.
You discover someone.
Here's what you would do today. Obviously, the Fratellis are going to be stars. You're going to get Helen Mirren to be Mama Fratelli or whatever.
Sexy Mama Fratelli.
She'd feel like she's your first call if you're doing an Anne Ramsey part today. Anyway, any adult, but I also feel like you give them one. There's got to be one, like Mr. Walsh, instead of just hearing that he told Mikey about One-Eyed Willie.
Yes.
Open with him in the movie, and he's someone we know, Liam Neeson or somebody, and he's the one who tells the kids about One-Eyed Willie in the beginning, so that we get that connection, and then you get another celebrity in there. Probably also flashbacks where you get a famous person to play One-Eyed Willie in
for sure. That sounds good.
See a vision of him at the end or something, but like you would at least do a flashback where it's like Russell Crowe was One-Eyed Willie.
All right, one more and then we will give you your clue for next week. Adern Holbert, this is a question for you, Lon. Are you saying Goonies was actually a red notice this entire time?
You know what?
I almost submitted before I saw that someone put in Irrational Treasure. I almost named it Regional Treasure because it is.
No, there's no fancy parties. And it doesn't really ever take on a heist caper. It doesn't have any of those. So I would go, it's kind of just missing a strict definition of a red notice, but it does have the combination of like sticky one-liner, constant banter with like a crew on a wacky adventure, and like little bit of action, little bit of comedy, little bit of adventure. Like I could see why people would be asking. It's sort of red notice adjacent.
Red Notice adjacent. Love it, love it, love it. All right. So we are going to go ahead and take off. Before we do, your clue for next week. Just make sure these days it's so there's so much going on. You got to keep your third eye open. All right.
There you go.
Just keep your third eye open.
It's a documentary about the band Third Eye Blind. What we're doing.
That is what we're doing. That's all we do here. Thank you so much. Thank you, Lon, for hanging out. Thank all of you for hanging out with us. And we will be back and see you next Tuesday. Have a good one. Bye.